In the sweltering heat of a vast desert that stretched beyond sight, dust and memory mingled in the air like whispered legends. Here, amid ancient ruins and the echo of forgotten oaths, Nia raced along cracked earth paths, her heart pounding with the rhythm of survival. The sun dipped low on the horizon, igniting the sky in hues of blood and amber, as if nature itself were staging a final act before nightfall. Nia's eyes, dark and intense, reflected not only the unforgiving landscape, but also a life marred by secrets. Every stride she took was a defiant attempt to escape a past cloaked in shadows. Once part of an elite pack, she had discovered too much: truths about family curses, betrayals that cleaved hearts in two, and the dark underbelly of an ancient legacy that had cost her everything. In her solitude, she clung to the hope of redemption, even as the looming threat of her pursuer made every moment a pulse-quickening chase. Zane, the relentless alpha, surged forward with a determination that belied the turmoil inside him. Known throughout both urban sprawls and the wilderness as a force to be reckoned with, he was not merely a predator by instinct, but a guardian of a cursed legacy. His very nature was entwined with the mysteries of old bloodlines and the savage, unyielding call of the wild. As he tracked Nia's every move, his thoughts were conflicted, a turbulent mix of duty, desire, and a yearning for absolution from his own tormented past. The sprawling city in the distance, with its neon glow and ceaseless hum, stood in stark contrast to the raw wilderness. It was a place where modernity and myth intersected. Skyscrapers towered above ancient cemeteries, and clandestine meetings held in dimly lit back alleys. Within this urban jungle, the supernatural existed on the fringes of everyday life, a secret society of shifters bound by unwritten rules and relentless passions. Zane's clan, steeped in centuries-old traditions, navigated both realms with careful steps, forever haunted by their own dark histories. As dusk gave way to night, Nia found refuge in a crumbling abandoned farmhouse on the outskirts of the city. The structure, half swallowed by creeping vines and the wear of time, offered a temporary sanctuary. Inside, the faded wallpaper and creaking wooden floors whispered memories of happier eras, now juxtaposed against the weight of her burden. In the flickering candlelight, she unwrapped a faded photograph, an image of a family long lost to betrayal and regret. Her fingertips traced the delicate features of faces she barely remembered, each one a reminder of the innocence stolen by time and treachery. A sudden noise outside shattered the fragile calm. Nia's heart skipped as she pressed herself against the cold, rough wall, her breath shallow and rapid. The night was alive with movement, a rustle in the dark, footsteps on gravel. "Who's there?" she whispered, voice trembling with both fear and defiance. The silence that followed was as ominous as it was profound, the kind that heralds an imminent collision of fate and desire. In the distance, Zane moved with calculated precision, every sense alert to the echo of Nia's presence. Though his duty was to capture her, his mind wrestled with the inexplicable pull that tethered him to her, a connection that transcended the simple chase. "Nia," he murmured under his breath, as if speaking her name could alter destiny itself. His internal conflict was a storm of emotions, the burden of leadership, the scars of a family tainted by betrayal, and an aching need to reclaim a part of himself long thought lost. Their destinies, entwined by ancient bonds and cursed promises, wove an intricate tapestry of pursuit and evasion. The Alpha's relentless pursuit was more than just a hunt. It was an unspoken declaration of fate's inevitability. As Zane crept closer to the farmhouse, memories of his own forbidden love, lost and shattered by the very rules he now upheld, flashed before his eyes. Each step toward Nia was a step toward a painful reminder of what had been sacrificed on the altar of pride and duty. Inside the farmhouse, Nia's resolve hardened. "I won't be caged again," she vowed silently, the flames of rebellion lighting up her eyes. The photograph in her hand burned with the intensity of forgotten promises, urging her to fight for a future free from the chains of her past. With every breath, the tension built, merging the past and present in a maelstrom of desire, fear, and defiance. The farmhouse, with its echoes of laughter and sorrow, became a stage for an imminent showdown. a silent battleground where the ghosts of yesterday would collide with the hopes of tomorrow. The air outside thickened with the scent of rain and anticipation. Leaves rustled as the wind carried murmurs of destiny across the barren land. Zane's keen senses picked up on a shift, a sudden quiet before the storm. He paused at the threshold of the clearing, torn between duty and the overwhelming need to break free from the relentless pursuit of a life dictated by ancient decrees. "I must find her," he whispered, a declaration that was both command and confession. His eyes, dark with the promise of redemption, scanned the horizon for any sign of the elusive woman who had ignited both his passion and his inner turmoil. The tension between hunter and hunted pulsed like a heartbeat in the silence of the night. Every rustle of the wind, every creak of wood, reverberated with the possibility of confrontation, a collision of destinies that could either shatter or bind them forever. In the farmhouse, as Nia listened to the encroaching sounds, her mind raced with fragments of memories and forebodings. "There's so much you don't understand," she murmured to herself, not realizing that her words were an invocation of the very fate that now sought her out. Her inner voice wove through the memories of familial betrayals, secretive alliances, and the promise of a redemption that seemed almost as distant as the stars above. Outside, Zane's pursuit was marked by more than mere physical determination. It was a journey through the labyrinth of his own haunted past. The weight of legacy, of secrets that had defined generations, pressed on him like the relentless desert heat. Each step carried the risk of unleashing truths too potent to be contained. In his mind, he recalled the night when his world crumbled, the betrayal by those he had trusted, the chilling realization that love and loyalty could be the very weapons of downfall. That night, under the same star-studded sky, he had vowed that no matter the cost, he would reclaim what was lost, even if it meant crossing the boundaries of fate. As the night deepened, a palpable sense of destiny enveloped the scene. The distance between the farmhouse and the approaching figure of Zane was measured not in feet, but in the emotional chasms that separated past from present. The subtle interplay of shadows and moonlight danced across the barren land, painting a portrait of suspense and inevitability. With a deep breath, Nia rose to her feet, determined to confront the encroaching darkness, even if it meant facing the one person who embodied it so completely. "I will not run anymore," she declared, her voice echoing into the night as much as it resonated within her own soul. At that very moment, fate conspired to merge their disparate worlds. Zane's presence, like a phantom of memories long suppressed, loomed at the threshold of the farmhouse. The door creaked open, and for an instant, time seemed to stand still. A heartbeat of suspense that stretched into eternity. Their eyes met across the dimly lit space, a silent acknowledgement of the shared pain and unspoken promises that bound them together. In that charged moment, every secret, every betrayal, every stolen memory surged to the forefront of their minds. The air was thick with the scent of impending change, of lives about to be irrevocably altered. Zane's voice, low and filled with a haunting tenderness, broke the silence. "Nia, you don't have to hide anymore." His words, though gentle, carried the weight of an unyielding determination, a promise to protect, even if it meant defying the very laws that had once governed his existence. For a fleeting moment, the relentless pursuit seemed to dissolve into a shared understanding that perhaps, within the crucible of their intertwined fates, lay the chance for healing, for redemption, for a love that could transcend even the darkest of curses. Yet, as quickly as that fragile connection formed, it was threatened by the ever-looming specter of their cursed heritage. The secrets of an ancient malediction loomed in the background, a silent adversary that would test the strength of their resolve. Nia's mind raced with the implications. A future where every step forward was haunted by the shadows of betrayal, where the redemption they both craved might demand the ultimate sacrifice. In that precarious balance between hope and despair, each breath was a battle, each heartbeat a testament to the resilience of the human and not-so-human spirit. The farmhouse, bathed in the interplay of light and shadow, became a crucible where past sins and future promises collided. The delicate interplay of emotions, fear, love, anger and longing, wove a narrative of tension that was both beautiful and harrowing. As the night deepened, and the first hints of dawn began to glow faintly in the east, Nia and Zane stood on the precipice of a revelation that would forever change the course of their intertwined destinies. Their story, marked by the scars of betrayal and the promise of redemption, was about to enter a new chapter, a moment of raw vulnerability that would either shatter them or bind them irrevocably together. In that hushed pause as the old world clashed with the new, the future of two souls hung in a delicate balance. Every moment was a step toward an uncertain destiny, every word a promise or a threat, every silence a prelude to the next surge of fate. As the farmhouse door creaked closed behind them, sealing away the past and beckoning the future, one thing was clear. The relentless pursuit was far from over, and the night still held secrets that could either liberate or condemn them. Both. In the early light of dawn, the city began to stir with a quiet urgency that belied the secrets hidden in its shadows. The urban sprawl, with its labyrinthine streets and historic neighborhoods, had become the stage for a timeless dance of fate and desire. Zane emerged from the darkness with a heavy heart, his every step echoing the silent burden of legacy. His mind, still reeling from the encounter at the farmhouse, teetered between the weight of unfulfilled duty and a newfound hope sparked by Nia's defiance. The cool morning air did little to calm the inner tempest, yet it offered a momentary reprieve, a chance to reflect on the duality of his existence as both protector and pursuer. Zane navigated the city's maze-like avenues, his senses alert to every whisper of movement. In the concrete canyons, ancient magic coexisted with modern technology, and his clan's history was etched into the very fabric of the urban environment. A discreet meeting had been arranged with an elder of his pack, a man whose weathered face bore the scars of countless battles and betrayals. In a hidden speakeasy tucked away behind a facade of normalcy, the elder awaited him, cigarette smoke swirling in the muted light. "Zane," the elder greeted, his tone a mixture of caution and compassion. "I sense your turmoil, both from the hunt and within your soul. The past is not easily left behind, and the ties that bind us are both a curse and a blessing." His words, though cryptic, resonated with a deep understanding of the intricate dynamics at play. The Alpha's eyes narrowed as he absorbed the elder's message. "I feel it too," Zane admitted, his voice a low rumble. "There is something about her, a spark that defies everything we have known. I have pursued her relentlessly, yet I cannot shake the feeling that she holds the key to more than just my redemption." The elder's gaze softened, a silent acknowledgement of the emotional maelstrom that threatened to upend the rigid traditions of their kind. In the meantime, Nia had not remained idle. Within the decaying walls of her temporary sanctuary, she combated the dual forces of fear and determination. The photograph clutched in her hand was a tangible reminder of a family torn apart by treachery, a past that had fueled her flight. Yet, as the first rays of sunlight crept through the broken windows, she began to see beyond the confines of her terror. With cautious resolve, Nia began to piece together the fragments of her identity. Every whispered memory, every secret past, down through generations, now converged into a singular mission: to reclaim her narrative and shatter the cycle of betrayal that had haunted her lineage. Stepping out into the awakening world, Nia was met with a city in flux. The blend of modernity and old-world mystique lent an air of possibility to the day. She made her way to a modest cafe known to be a meeting point for those who straddled the line between the mundane and the extraordinary. There, amid the clinking of coffee cups and murmurs of morning chatter, she encountered Cassian, a trusted friend whose knowledge of the supernatural was rivaled only by his unwavering loyalty. "Nia," Cassian said, his voice laced with concern as he slid into the seat opposite her. "Word of your escape has already stirred whispers among the underground. You must be careful, both from those who seek to control you, and from the ghosts of your past." His eyes, kind yet piercing, searched hers for any hint of the turmoil that lay beneath her calm exterior. Nia's reply was measured, yet the intensity of her conviction shone through. "Cassian, I cannot keep running forever. There is a reason. I was marked, something deeper than just my lineage. I have seen flashes of a truth, fragments of a curse that binds us all. If I am to break free from the chains of betrayal, I must confront the very forces that have haunted my family for generations." Her words, though laden with despair, carried a spark of defiance that transformed the weight of her destiny into a call to arms. Cassian leaned forward, his expression earnest. "Then you must understand, dear friend, that redemption is not found by fleeing the past. It is won through facing it head-on, and you are not alone in this journey. There are others, hidden, in plain sight, who have fought against the chains of fate. We must gather every ally, every piece of the puzzle, and expose the treachery that has cast a long shadow over our lives." As their conversation deepened, the cafe's ambient chatter faded into the background, replaced by a symphony of whispered confidences and strategic planning. Outside, the city was a living tapestry of histories, where every corner held the possibility of revelation or peril. For Nia, each step forward was both an act of defiance and a tentative embrace of her uncertain destiny. Meanwhile, back in the urban twilight, Zane found himself haunted by memories that refused to fade. In a quiet, secluded park, he allowed himself a moment of vulnerability. Sitting on a weathered bench beneath a towering oak, he recalled the night when betrayal shattered the illusions of loyalty. The image of a dear friend turned traitor, someone who had once sworn to protect him, flashed before his eyes, igniting a bitter resolve to reclaim what was lost. "I will not be defined by the mistakes of those who came before," he murmured to the silent night, "nor will I let my heart be shackled by regret." Yet, even as his voice trembled with determination, a part of him longed for the solace that only love could provide, a solace he now saw reflected in Nia's fierce eyes. In a daring twist of fate, the paths of hunter and hunted converged once more. Under the cover of a rain-soaked evening, fate led Zane and Nia to a derelict train station, a relic of the past now serving as a clandestine meeting point for those ensnared by secrets. The station, with its graffiti-laden walls and rusted tracks, resonated with echoes of lost time. Neon signs flickered in the distance, casting erratic shadows that danced on the platform like spirits of old. Nia arrived at the station with a mix of trepidation and resolve. Dressed in dark layers that concealed both her physical form and the vulnerable truths of her soul, she scanned the surroundings with cautious eyes. The wind carried whispers of forgotten promises and the distant hum of a city that never truly slept. Every creak of the decaying structure seemed to forewarn of an imminent confrontation, a reckoning with the past that she had long avoided. At that moment, footsteps approached from the gloom. Zane, his presence as commanding as ever, emerged from the shadows. His eyes, reflecting the flickering lights of the station, locked with Nia's, and for a fleeting second, the tumult of their intertwined destinies fell silent. "Nia," he said, his voice echoing with a blend of sorrow and determination. "We stand on the edge of a revelation that could shatter our worlds. But there is truth hidden in the darkest corners of our past. Truth that must be unveiled if we are to find redemption." Nia's response was both defiant and vulnerable. "I have spent my life running from these truths, from the betrayal that stains my blood. But if facing them means unearthing the secrets that bind us, and perhaps breaking free from them, I am ready. I want to know who we truly are, beyond the masks we have been forced to wear." Her declaration resonated through the empty station, a promise to confront not only the enemies outside but the demons within. As the conversation unfolded, the atmosphere became charged with a mix of hope and foreboding. Zane disclosed a series of cryptic revelations, hinting at a centuries-old conspiracy that intertwined their fates with the destiny of the entire pack. The dark magic that had once been dismissed as mere legend was now coming to light, a malignant force that had manipulated events for generations. "There is a lineage of betrayal, a hidden pact made in blood," Zane explained, his voice barely above a whisper, as if afraid the truth might shatter the fragile calm. "Our ancestors sealed a fate that continues to echo in our lives. But this legacy can be rewritten if we are brave enough to confront the darkness." Their dialogue was interrupted by an unexpected arrival. Out of the mist that had begun to roll in from the distant hills, a mysterious figure stepped forward. Cloaked in shadow and anonymity, the newcomer's presence sent ripples of tension through the already charged air. "You speak of rewriting," Fate, the stranger intoned, their voice resonating with an uncanny familiarity. But fate is not so easily unmade, nor is it so willing to release its grip on those who dare defy it. The words hung in the air, a challenge that was both enigmatic and foreboding. A heated exchange ensued as the trio delved into a debate that blurred the lines between prophecy and free will. Zane, ever the embodiment of duty and conflicted desire, argued for a path of redemption that required confronting the sins of the past. Nia, with a newfound resolve, insisted that liberation lay in acknowledging the pain of history and choosing to rise above it. The mysterious stranger, however, maintained an air of inscrutable wisdom, suggesting that every revelation came at a cost, a price that might demand sacrifice beyond measure. As the rain intensified, drumming a relentless beat on the station's roof, the tension escalated to a fever pitch. The three figures, bound by destiny, yet divided by their choices, faced the stark reality of their intertwined paths. Every word exchanged, every pause laden with unspoken emotion, drew them closer to a turning point, a moment where the scars of the past would either give way to healing or deepen the wounds that had festered for generations. In the midst of this charged confrontation, Zane's inner conflict reached its zenith. Torn between his unwavering duty to the legacy of his clan and the overwhelming need to embrace a love that defied convention, he found himself on the precipice of an irreversible decision. "I must choose," he confessed, voice raw with emotion, "between a life defined by relentless pursuit and a future that dares to dream of forgiveness and unity." His admission, echoing against the cold, damp walls of the station, sent shivers down the spines of all present. Nia's eyes shimmered with a mix of compassion and determination as she stepped closer, her hand extended in a gesture that bridged the chasm between hunter and hunted. "Then let us choose together," she urged softly. "For every secret that has haunted us, every betrayal that has scarred our souls, there lies a chance for redemption. But we must be willing to face the truth, however painful it may be." Her words, tender yet resolute, held the promise of a future unbound by the chains of fate. The stranger, observing the intimate moment with an inscrutable expression, slowly nodded. "Your courage is commendable," they said, their tone softening, ever so slightly. "But remember, even in the pursuit of redemption, the past leaves its mark. The truth you seek may not be free of cost, and the path you choose could demand sacrifices you have yet to imagine." With that, the figure melted back into the swirling mists, leaving behind an echo of mystery that would linger long after their departure. The rain began to subside, leaving behind a reflective stillness that invited introspection. In that suspended moment, as the dampness of the night gave way to the soft glow of streetlights, Zane and Nia found themselves united, not merely by circumstance but by a shared resolve to confront the shadows of their past. The station, now a silent witness to the unfolding drama, held the secrets of generations and bore testament to the timeless struggle between destiny and choice. Together, they stepped away from the platform, leaving behind the remnants of the old order and venturing into an uncertain future. Every step resonated with the promise of change, a promise that demanded courage, resilience, and above all, the willingness to embrace both the pain and beauty of the truth. In the delicate interplay of rain-soaked memories and the flickering neon lights of the city, the boundaries between hunter and hunted blurred, giving way to the possibility of a love capable of healing even the deepest scars. As the pair merged into the awakening city, a final thought lingered in the cool air, a question that hung suspended between hope and despair. Was redemption truly attainable, or was it merely a fleeting illusion in a world governed by relentless destiny? The answer lay hidden in the shadows of history, waiting to be unearthed by hearts brave enough to challenge the relentless pull of fate. Ultimately, in that profound twilight of revelation and possibility, their journey continued. A journey defined not by the scars of the past, but by the luminous promise of a future reimagined. Under the weight of lingering revelations and the quiet hum of the awakening city, the third chapter of their story began to unfurl with a renewed intensity. In the labyrinth of urban streets where history whispered from every crack and every shadow concealed a tale of passion and peril. Nia and Zane embarked on a journey that would test the limits of loyalty, love, and self-discovery. Their recent meeting at the deserted train station had left them with more questions than answers. A cryptic puzzle of ancient curses, family betrayals, and the promise of redemption that seemed as elusive as the wind itself. In the dim light of a restored building turned clandestine sanctuary, a council of shifters had gathered to confront the growing threat that loomed over their community. Among them was Elena, a sage with piercing eyes and a reputation for unraveling mysteries that had confounded even the eldest of her kind. The gathering took place in a spacious loft adorned with relics of their ancestors. Faded photographs, heirlooms, and cryptic symbols etched into the very walls. Elena's voice, calm yet brimming with authority, resonated as she addressed the assembly. "Tonight we are at a crossroads," Elena declared, her tone both a call to arms and a lament for the past. "The threads of our destiny are tangled by secrets that have festered for generations. It is time to face the darkness that has haunted our lineage and to reclaim the honor that has been tarnished by betrayal." Her words, filled with quiet determination, set the stage for a series of revelations that would ripple through the very core of their existence. Zane, still burdened by the weight of his responsibilities, listened intently. His mind was a battlefield of conflicting emotions, the stern call of duty versus the tender allure of the connection he shared with Nia. He recalled Elena's earlier counsel, a warning to be vigilant in matters of the heart. Yet as he looked over at Nia, her expression both resolute and haunted, he knew that the path to redemption lay not in isolation, but in embracing the truths that united them. Meanwhile, Nia found herself grappling with the ghosts of her past. The old photograph she had clutched in the solitude of the farmhouse now took on a new significance. Each face in the image told a story of loss, betrayal, and the unyielding quest for freedom. In a quiet moment away from prying eyes, she revisited her memories, fragments of a life marred by abandonment, the sting of familial treachery, and the relentless drive to escape a destiny that had long been imposed upon her. "I must know the truth," she whispered to herself, the words carrying the weight of every unspoken regret. "Only then can I shatter the chains that bind me." The council meeting had sparked a fire in the hearts of those present. Elena revealed a long-forgotten prophecy, one that had been etched into the annals of shifter lore. The prophecy spoke of a union that could either mend the fractured fabric of their world or unleash a torrent of chaos that would devour everything in its path. It spoke of a love that transcended the ordinary, a force capable of healing even the deepest of wounds. But it also carried a dire warning, that the path to salvation was paved with sacrifice, and that every revelation came at a cost. Amid the charged atmosphere, a new figure emerged from the shadows, a scarred veteran named Marcus, whose eyes held both sorrow and determination. "I have seen the devastation that unchecked secrets can wreak," he confessed, his voice rough and laden with experience. "Our past is not a relic to be hidden away. It is a living force that shapes our future. We must confront it, even if it means facing the truths we have long denied." His words, echoing the council's collective resolve, galvanized the group into action. As discussions deepened, Zane and Nia found themselves increasingly drawn together by the urgency of the moment. In a secluded alcove away from the main gathering, they engaged in a dialogue that was both intimate and charged with the gravity of their situation. Zane's eyes, filled with a rare vulnerability, searched Nia's as he spoke. "I have chased you across barren deserts and through the corridors of forgotten memories, yet now I stand here, uncertain of the man I wish to be. The legacy I bear is one of both honor and damnation, and I fear that without you, I may never find the balance between them." His confession, raw and unguarded, resonated deeply with Nia, stirring emotions she had long suppressed. Nia's response was equally heartfelt. "I ran from my past, from the weight of expectations and the sting of betrayal, but I've come to realize that my identity is woven into every piece of that history, even the painful parts. If I am to rewrite the narrative of my life, I must Embrace it all, even if it means facing truth that could tear me apart. Her voice, though trembling, carried an unwavering resolve that promised both danger and hope. We stand on the brink of a transformation, one that might redefine not only who we are but also what we stand for. Their conversation was interrupted by the sudden arrival of a messenger from the outskirts of the city, a young shifter named Lila, whose urgency cut through the charged silence. Clutched in her hand was an ancient scroll, its edges tattered by time and travel. "This has been delivered from the distant lands of our ancestors," Lila announced, her voice breathless from haste. "It speaks of an imminent threat, a resurgence of the cursed legacy that has long been dormant. The scroll warns of a force that will rise to claim what was lost, a force that could tip the balance of power in ways we can scarcely imagine." As the messenger's words sank in, a palpable tension gripped the room. Elena unfurled the scroll with deliberate care, and the group gathered around as the cryptic message was read aloud. The text, written in an archaic script, described a convergence of celestial events and human failings, a prophecy that foretold the return of a dark power linked to the very origins of their curse. "The day of reckoning draws near, Elena," intoned solemnly. "And with it, the choice between redemption and damnation." The weight of the prophecy bore down on everyone present. Marcus's face, etched with years of pain and regret, darkened with the implications. "We have been dancing on the edge of oblivion for too long," he said, his voice a mixture of despair and defiance. "It is time to stand together, to confront the dark legacy that has haunted us for generations." His words echoed in the silent chamber, leaving no doubt that the coming days would demand courage beyond measure. In the midst of this mounting crisis, a plan began to take shape. A bold, daring strategy to unearth the buried secrets of their past and to face the impending darkness head-on. Zane, Naya, and a select group of allies resolved to embark on a perilous journey to an ancient sanctuary said to hold the key to breaking the curse. This sanctuary, hidden deep within a forgotten forest at the edge of the urban sprawl, was rumored to be a repository of lost knowledge, guarded by the spirits of ancestors whose wisdom had been passed down through the ages. The journey promised to be fraught with peril, not only from external threats but from the inner demons that each of them carried. Before setting out, the group gathered in a quiet moment of introspection. Zane stood on the rooftop of the council building, gazing out over the city as dawn's soft light began to dispel the remnants of night. The urban skyline, a mosaic of modernity and timeless beauty, stirred something deep within him, a reminder that even in the midst of chaos, there was the possibility of renewal. "Today, we take the first step toward reclaiming our destiny," he murmured, more to himself than to anyone else. "The path is uncertain, but it is ours to forge." His words, carried away by the gentle breeze, seemed to affirm a promise of hope that transcended the boundaries of past sorrows. Meanwhile, Nia prepared for the journey with a quiet determination that belied the tumult of emotions swirling within her. As she packed the few belongings that remained precious, mementos of a life once shattered by betrayal, her mind was flooded with visions of the sanctuary. She envisioned a place where the lines between myth and reality blurred, where the ancient spirits might offer guidance, and where she could finally confront the demons that had haunted her lineage. "This is not just a quest for answers," she reflected softly, "but a journey toward reclaiming the power that has always been my birthright." Her resolve, steeled by the hardships of her past, glimmered with the promise of transformation. The day of departure arrived with a hushed anticipation. In the early hours, before the city fully awakened, the small band of allies assembled at the edge of the urban expanse. The air was crisp, tinged with the promise of change, and each step they took was laden with the gravity of their mission. The journey to the ancient sanctuary would lead them through wild, untamed landscapes, a stark contrast to the familiar bustle of the city. They ventured into winding country roads and dense patches of forest, the boundaries between civilization and the wild blurring with every mile. Throughout the journey, the atmosphere was a delicate interplay of camaraderie and tension. Conversations were hushed, laden with both hope and the shared understanding of the dangers ahead. Zane and Nia found moments of quiet connection amid the trials, their discussions a blend of introspection and strategic planning. At one point, As they traversed a narrow trail lined with towering pines, Nia confided in Zane her deepest fears. "I've spent so long running from what I was, what we were, but maybe in facing these shadows together we can finally emerge stronger." Her words, sincere and laden with vulnerability, resonated with Zane, who replied softly, "We are not defined by our past. It is merely the canvas upon which we paint our future." The forest, ancient and inscrutable, served as both a haven and a reminder of the myriad secrets that lay hidden beneath its canopy. Every rustle of leaves and every distant call of nocturnal creatures spoke of histories untold and mysteries waiting to be unraveled. As night fell on the road ahead, the group made camp in a small clearing, the flickering campfire the only light. In the vast darkness, huddled around the fire, they shared quiet tales of personal loss and redemption, their voices mingling with the soft sighs of the forest. It was in these intimate moments that the bonds between them grew stronger. A tapestry, woven from shared pain, hope, and the unyielding desire for change. In the hours before dawn, Zane and Nia stood apart from the others, their eyes fixed on the horizon where the first hints of light began to seep through the dense canopy. "Do you ever wonder," Zane began tentatively, "if the choices we make can truly break the cycle of pain and betrayal?" His voice was soft, reflective, as though he were questioning not just his destiny, but the very nature of fate itself. Nia's gaze was distant, yet steady. "I've come to believe that every scar tells a story, and every story has the power to heal," she replied, her tone imbued with a quiet strength. "Our journey is more than a quest for answers. It is an opportunity to redefine ourselves, to reclaim the lost parts of our souls and transform them into something beautiful." Her words, echoing in the pre-dawn stillness, underscored a hope that was both fragile and fierce. As the light of a new day broke over the horizon, the sanctuary of the ancient forest beckoned. The path ahead was shrouded in mystery, yet every step forward carried the promise of discovery. With hearts full of determination and minds steeled by the trials of the past, the band of allies pressed on toward the sanctuary, their footsteps echoing with the resolve to reclaim what had been lost. The journey was far from over. The ancient sanctuary promised not only revelations about the cursed legacy that had plagued their kind, but also a chance to forge a future that transcended the limitations of fate. Every twist and turn of the path, every whispered secret of the forest, hinted at the transformation that awaited them, a metamorphosis that would redefine their identities and, ultimately, their destinies. In this crucible of ancient wisdom and modern resilience, Zane and Nia found themselves on the threshold of an evolution that could heal the wounds of the past. The promise of the sanctuary was a beacon of hope amid the encroaching darkness, a symbol that even the deepest scars could one day be mended, and that from the ashes of betrayal and loss, a new beginning could be born. With a final glance toward the city they had left behind, and a silent promise to honor the memories of those who had suffered before them, they stepped forward into the embrace of the unknown. The forest, alive with the echoes of ancient voices, welcomed them into its depths. Each step forward was a testament to their resilience, a silent vow that the relentless pursuit of redemption would lead them eventually to a place where the past no longer held sway over the promise of tomorrow. And so, under the ancient boughs and the watchful eyes of those long gone, their journey pressed onward. A journey not just of miles traveled, but of hearts mended and destinies reimagined. In the interplay of light and shadow, of whispered secrets and bold declarations, the truth of their lineage and the promise of a future free from the chains of betrayal began to take shape. Every heartbeat, every step, carried the weight of a promise to break free from the legacy of pain and to rise, transformed, from the ashes of a troubled past. With each passing moment, as the first light of day mingled with the enduring spirit of the wild, the narrative of their lives was rewritten. The sanctuary ahead was not merely a destination. It was the embodiment of hope, a place where love, redemption, and the courage to confront one's destiny converged in a moment of luminous clarity. In that moment, as the old world faded into the embrace of a new dawn, a profound truth emerged. The journey toward healing is as much about embracing one's past as it is about forging a brighter future. deep within the ancient forest, where the whispers of time converged with the rustling leaves. The group pressed onward with a mixture of hope and trepidation. The journey to the sanctuary had led them through a realm where the boundary between myth and reality blurred, and every step brought with it the echo of ancestral voices. The air was thick with anticipation as Zane, Naya, and their allies traversed winding, moss-covered trails, the canopy above filtering the golden light of a late autumn afternoon into dancing patterns on the forest floor. For Zane, each footfall was a reminder of the heavy legacy he bore, a legacy filled with both honor and the scars of betrayal. He recalled the council's solemn words and the cryptic prophecy that had set them on this perilous path. The burden of ancient mistakes weighed on him, yet the presence of Nia by his side lent him a strength he had long forgotten. With every measured step, he sought not only to forge a new future, but also to unearth the truth hidden deep within the roots of his lineage. Nia's mind, too, teemed with the memories of a past that had once threatened to drown her in despair. The journey had become as much an internal pilgrimage as an external quest, a search for the fragments of her identity scattered across time. As the forest whispered secrets in a language older than words, she felt an awakening stirring within her, a gradual shedding of the fear that had once defined her existence. "We are nearing the sanctuary," she murmured, her voice soft yet resolute, as she caught sight of a series of intricately carved stone markers embedded in the bark of ancient oaks. Each marker bore symbols that resonated with the lore of their kind, hinting at the sacred ground that lay ahead. Their small band halted at a clearing where the earth was carpeted with fallen leaves, and the air shimmered with an otherworldly luminescence. Here, the forest seemed to breathe with a life of its own, its ancient spirit stirring in quiet acknowledgement of the traveler's arrival. Elena, ever the voice of ancient wisdom, stepped forward and carefully brushed her fingertips over one of the weathered symbols. "These runes," she explained, "tell a story of sacrifice, renewal, and the unyielding quest for redemption. They have marked the path for generations, guiding us toward a truth that has been hidden in plain sight." Her words, steeped in reverence, resonated with every heart present. Marcus, his features etched with years of hardship and resolve, scanned the horizon as if expecting the past to materialize from the mists. "We must be cautious," he warned, his tone both protective and pragmatic. "Legends say that the sanctuary is guarded not just by ancient magic, but by the restless spirits of those who sacrificed everything in pursuit of a future free of regret. Their vigil endures, ensuring that only those who are truly ready may pass." His eyes flickered with determination as he gripped the hilt of a time-worn blade, a family heirloom passed down through generations as a symbol of their eternal struggle. As the group ventured deeper, the forest thickened and the ambient sounds shifted into a symphony of distant murmurs and rustling foliage. The landscape transformed gradually. Towering trees gave way to sprawling groves of ancient pines. There, silhouettes etched against a sky that deepened from twilight to a star-studded night. In that magical darkness, every shadow seemed to hold a secret, and every whisper of wind carried the voices of those who had once walked this path. During a brief respite beside a gently burbling creek, Nia and Zane found themselves alone for a moment, away from the others. The murmuring water provided a soothing counterpoint to the tension that crackled between them, a tension born not only of their shared destiny, but also of the unspoken emotions that had blossomed amid their arduous journey. Zane gazed at Naya, his eyes reflecting a depth of emotion that transcended words. "I have spent so long chasing shadows, of past mistakes, of lost promises," he confessed softly, his voice trembling with vulnerability. "But now, with you here, I feel as if the weight of my heritage might finally be lifted. In your eyes, I see a chance to rewrite our story, to break the cycle of betrayal that has haunted us for too long." Nia's expression softened as she reached out to gently clasp his hand. "I once believed that running was the only way to escape the pain of my past," she replied, her voice steady, despite the torrent of memories that threatened to overwhelm her. "Yet in this journey, I have learned that true strength lies not in denial but in facing our darkest truths. We must confront what we have been running from if we are ever to find the redemption we seek." Her words, imbued with both sorrow and determination, bridged the gap between their inner worlds, a silent promise that they would face whatever lay ahead together. Their intimate exchange was soon interrupted by the rustling of leaves and the sound of approaching footsteps. A figure emerged from the darkness, a tall, enigmatic shifter with a presence that radiated both authority and quiet melancholy. This was Rylan, a long-forgotten member of the pack whose allegiance had been shrouded in mystery. His eyes, piercing and knowing, surveyed the small group with an intensity that left little room for pretense. The sanctuary awaits, but so do challenges that will test every fiber of your being, he intoned, his voice carrying the weight of countless untold stories. Only through trials of spirit and heart can one hope to dispel the shadows that cling to our bloodline. Ryland's arrival was met with a mix of wary respect and cautious curiosity. His reputation as a wanderer between realms had earned him both admiration and distrust among those who valued tradition over mystery. "I have roamed these lands longer than many of you have known of our kind," he continued, his tone firm yet not unkind. "And I can tell you that the path to the sanctuary is riddled with remnants of ancient sorrow, echoes of loss, relics of betrayal, and testaments to the unyielding resilience of those who dared to dream of a better future." His eyes briefly met Nia's, conveying a silent acknowledgement of the shared burden that weighed upon them all. With the renewed sense of purpose, the group resumed its journey, guided by Ryland's quiet leadership and the unwavering determination of those bound by a common destiny. The path led them to a clearing where the remnants of a long-forgotten stone structure emerged from the undergrowth. Ivy clung to crumbling walls, and moss encrusted the once grand archways. It was a place that had borne witness to countless rites and rituals, a sanctuary not only of stone and earth, but of memories and hope. Inside the structure, the air was cool and heavy with the scent of ancient incense. Faded murals depicted scenes of celestial battles and tender unions, each figure a silent testament to the enduring struggle between light and darkness. The group gathered in the central chamber, where a colossal stone altar dominated the space. Here, the legends of old came alive in vivid detail, a tapestry woven from sacrifice, love, and the relentless quest for redemption. Elena stepped forward once more, her gaze fixed upon the altar as she recited fragments of an age-old incantation. "In the name of those who have walked before us, we call upon the spirits of this hallowed ground. Reveal to us the truth that lies hidden within our blood, that we may understand the depths of our destiny and the means to sever the chains of the past." Her voice resonated through the chamber, stirring the still air and evoking a palpable energy that pulsed with ancient power. As the incantation reached its crescendo, the chamber was bathed in an ethereal glow, a fusion of moonlight and a mysterious radiance that emanated from the very stones. Shadows shifted and danced along the walls, and for a fleeting moment, the room seemed to vibrate with the heartbeat of history. Nia felt an inexplicable pull, as if the altar itself were speaking directly to her soul, inviting her to embrace the legacy of her lineage, both its beauty and its pain. Zane, standing beside her, watched the unfolding spectacle with a mixture of awe and trepidation. He was acutely aware that every revelation came with its own peril, that the unveiling of long-buried secrets might disrupt the delicate balance of their existence. "What does it mean?" he asked quietly, his voice laced with both wonder and uncertainty. Before Elena could answer, the chamber shuddered as if in response to a force beyond mortal control. A low, resonant hum filled the air, and ancient symbols on the altar began to glow with a pulsating light. In that moment, the spirits of the past seemed to awaken, their presence both comforting and foreboding. Ryland's eyes narrowed as he sensed the stirring of energies that could either mend the fractures of their world or unleash chaos anew. From within the radiant glow emerged a spectral figure, a guardian of the sanctuary whose form was both fluid and imposing. The figure's visage was obscured by a shimmering veil of light, yet its eyes shone with a wisdom that spanned centuries. In a voice that resonated like a chorus of forgotten ancestors, the guardian spoke. "You stand at the crossroads of destiny and choice. To shatter the bonds of betrayal, you must first confront the truth that lies within your hearts. Only when the wounds of the past are laid bare can the path to redemption be forged anew." The guardian's words echoed in the silence that followed, each syllable a challenge to the very core of their beings. Nia's heart pounded as she absorbed the enormity of the revelation. Here, in this sanctified space, the intertwined fates of her family and her people were poised on the edge of transformation. Every secret that had haunted her, every betrayal that had defined her existence, was converging in this moment of reckoning. Zane stepped closer, his voice steady despite the storm of emotions within him. If redemption is to be earned, then we must embrace all that we are, our strengths, our weaknesses, and the scars that have made us who we are. I am prepared to face whatever trials await, for I have learned that the only way forward is to confront the past with unwavering resolve. His declaration was met with a somber nod from Elena and a determined glint in Ryland's eyes. The spectral guardian extended a hand toward the altar, and as if in response, the stone surface began to shift. Hidden beneath layers of dust and time, a series of intricate carvings emerged, depicting a tumultuous saga of love, loss, betrayal, and ultimate redemption. Nia knelt before the altar, her eyes fixed on the carvings that told the story of an ancient union, a forbidden love that had sparked a rebellion against fate itself. With trembling hands, she traced the lines of the symbols, feeling the weight of generations in every etched groove. In that charged silence, revelations cascaded like a torrent. The carving spoke of a lineage that had been fractured by treachery, yet held within it the promise of renewal. They told of a union between a fearless warrior and a visionary who dared to defy destiny, a union that had the power to either bind their world in eternal despair or to set it free. The message was clear. Only through the reconciliation of these opposing forces could the curse be broken. As the gravity of the moment settled in, the chamber seemed to pulse with the collective heartbeat of all who had come before. Elena's eyes glistened with unshed tears as she whispered, "Our ancestors fought not only against the external forces of darkness, but also against the inner demons of regret and isolation. Their story is our story, a testament to the enduring spirit of love and the unyielding desire to be free." Her words, laden with emotion, reverberated through the sanctuary, binding the group together in a shared understanding of their purpose. Outside, the night deepened, and the forest around the sanctuary exhaled a cool, hushed breath, as if in reverence of the moment. The spectral guardian's form began to fade, leaving behind a lingering echo of light and promise. "Remember," the guardian intoned softly, "that every wound, every scar, is a reminder that redemption is earned through the courage to confront the past. Only then can you carve a new destiny from the remnants of what once was." With those final words, the guardian vanished into the embrace of the radiant glow, leaving the chamber steeped in a silence that felt both heavy and hopeful. In the wake of the apparition, the group stood united before the altar, their expressions a mixture of awe, sorrow, and determination. The ancient carvings now held a newfound significance, a roadmap not only to the salvation of their kind, but also to the healing of their fractured souls. Zane's gaze met Nia's, and in that moment an unspoken promise passed between them, that no matter the trials ahead, they would face the darkness together, forging a path toward a future unburdened by the sins of the past. With renewed resolve, the group prepared to leave the sanctuary, carrying with them the weight of the revelations and the hope of a redemption that was within reach. As they stepped out into the crisp night air, the forest seemed to part before them, guiding their path forward with gentle luminescence. The journey was far from over, yet every step now resonated with the clarity of purpose and the quiet strength that comes from embracing one's destiny. In the quiet that followed the sanctuary's farewell, each soul felt the stirring of a change that was as inevitable as the turning of the seasons. They were no longer merely fugitives of fate, but bearers of an ancient legacy, a legacy that, though marred by betrayal, held the seeds of an extraordinary rebirth. Together, they would challenge the forces that had long dictated their lives, and in the crucible of their shared trials, they would discover that true redemption was not a destination, but a journey forged in the fires of their own making. Step by step the night carried them onward, the stars above serving as silent witnesses to their collective vow, a vow to dismantle the chains of the past and to embrace a future illuminated by the power of truth, love, and sacrifice. In that, Transcendent moment, as the world around them faded into a tapestry of light and shadow. The promise of transformation was etched indelibly in their hearts. With every heartbeat echoing the ancient refrain of hope, and with every footfall affirming their commitment to reshape their destiny, they moved forward, into the unknown, into the challenge, and ultimately, into a future reborn from the ashes of what once was. Their path was uncertain and fraught with peril, but within that uncertainty lay the power to reclaim the fragments of a broken past and to forge a destiny defined by compassion, strength, and an unyielding resolve. As dawn began to tease the horizon with hints of soft light, the journey continued, each step a silent ode to the enduring spirit of those who dared to dream of a world unshackled by regret. And so, under the watchful gaze of ancient trees and the eternal chorus of the forest, they advanced with hearts united and eyes set on a promise that transcended the confines of time, a promise that the legacy of betrayal could be transformed into the legacy of renewal, a legacy that would echo into eternity. In the shadow of a ruined urban cathedral reclaimed by nature, the final chapter of their journey unfolded with a gravity that shook the very foundations of fate. The ancient walls, etched with the scars of time and conflict, bore silent witness to the gathering of souls determined to end the cycle of betrayal and redemption, once and for all. Here, at the convergence of past grievances and future hope, Zane, Naya, and their assembled allies prepared for a confrontation that promised to unravel the very tapestry of their legacy. A chill wind whispered through the broken arches as the group advanced into the heart of the derelict sanctuary. Overhead, fractured stained glass filtered the pale light of a waning afternoon, casting kaleidoscopic patterns on the stone floor. Every step echoed like a heartbeat, a rhythmic reminder of the stakes they had long carried. At the front, Zane's eyes blazed with determination, the weight of his lineage etched into every furrow of his brow. His mind replayed the solemn words spoken at the ancient altar, where secrets had emerged in glowing script and spectral voices had called for truth. Nia, standing close by, sensed the tempest of emotions swirling within Zane. The tumult of their shared history, betrayal, loss, and the desperate longing for absolution was now converging in a singular moment of reckoning. "We've journeyed through darkness and deception," she murmured, her voice trembling yet resolute. "And now we face the architect of our suffering." Her words hung in the air like a challenge to the lingering shadows. The architect in question was none other than Roderick, a once trusted patriarch whose quiet influence over the pack had masked a secret ambition. For years, his cunning manipulations had sown discord among the clans, orchestrating betrayals that fractured families and bound souls to a curse that was anything but natural. In the midst of their pilgrimage for redemption, the truth had come into sharper focus. Roderick was the mastermind behind the ancient pact, a pact that had twisted the legacy of their kind into a weapon of control. Unbeknownst to many, he had sown the seeds of the curse as a means to consolidate power, pitting Alpha against Alpha and turning love into a tool for subjugation. A sudden shift in the atmosphere announced his arrival. From the depths of a collapsed corridor, Roderick emerged, clad in garments that once spoke of authority, but were now stained with the grime of forgotten years. His eyes, cold and calculating, swept over the gathered allies as if assessing a chessboard of pawns and kings. "So you have come to challenge the inevitable," he said, his voice smooth and laced with derision. "I see you believe that redemption can be won through defiance." His tone belied a pride that had been nurtured by years of secret triumphs and quiet manipulation. Zane stepped forward, his posture defiant. "Roderick, your reign of deception ends here," he declared. "You turned our pain into a chain, and for too long, you have reaped power from our misfortune. Today, we reclaim our legacy." His words were met with a ripple of murmurs from the assembled shifters, a mixture of hope and pent-up fury. Naya's eyes, bright with the promise of renewal, locked with his as she added, "Our history is not a prison, but the raw material from which we can forge a new future. You twisted it for your own gain, but we are done living in your shadow." Roderick smiled thinly, his expression betraying a flicker of amusement. "You speak of hope and rebirth, yet you are blind to the truth. The curse you despise is not a curse at all, it is the natural order. It binds us, makes us powerful. Without it, you would all be nothing more than lost souls wandering in a different world. His voice dripped with contempt, and for a moment, the tension in the room was so palpable that even the ancient stones seemed to hold their breath. Before the confrontation could escalate further, the spectral guardian from the sanctuary reappeared. In a burst of shimmering light, hovering between the warring factions, the figure's translucent form radiated an authority that transcended mortal grievances, and its voice rang out, echoing against the crumbling walls. "The truth is more intricate than the lies you have spun, Roderick," it intoned. "For every act of treachery, there is a counterbalance in the tapestry of destiny. Redemption is not granted by force, but by the courage to embrace every part of your heritage, both light and dark." The guardian's words, like a benediction and a warning intertwined, momentarily stilled the air. Roderick's face contorted, in anger. "Do not preach to me, Spectre. You are but a remnant of a past that no longer holds sway." His retort was sharp, yet beneath it lay a tremor of uncertainty, a sign that even he could not completely mask the consequences of his own actions. In that charged moment, Elena stepped forward, her eyes resolute and her voice steady. "Roderick, your time has come to atone for the sins you inflicted upon us all," she declared. "We have suffered under the weight of your lies for far too long. The prophecy we uncovered was not a tool of your manipulation, but a call to awaken to our true selves." Her words resonated with the assembled crowd, sparking a renewed sense of unity among the shifters. "We will not be divided by your machinations. Instead, we choose to break free from the cycle of pain." The atmosphere crackled with the raw energy of impending change. Roderick's eyes darted from one determined face to another, and for the first time he hesitated. "You cannot simply undo what has been done," he hissed, struggling against the tide of collective defiance. "The curse is woven into the fabric of our being. It is our destiny." Yet his voice wavered, betraying the crumbling foundation of his conviction. At that moment, a revelation, unexpected and shattering, cascaded over the assembly like a cleansing storm. Lila, the young shifter who had delivered the ancient scroll, stepped forward. Clutched in her hand was a second, previously unknown document, a ledger of secrets meticulously recorded by one who had once served Roderick. "This ledger," Lila proclaimed, her voice echoing with unanticipated authority, "contains the truth of our origins, a truth you tried so desperately to hide." With trembling hands, she unfurled the brittle pages before the gathering. The ledger detailed a conspiracy that stretched back centuries, revealing that the so-called curse was not an inevitable fate, but a fabrication, a carefully constructed illusion designed to control the shifters. It exposed Roderick's deliberate manipulation of ancient lore to seize power, casting doubt on every whispered myth of a predestined fate. Gasps rippled through the crowd as the ledger's contents sank in. Zane's eyes flickered with a mix of vindication and profound sorrow, while Nia felt the weight of a burden that had been lifted by the truth. "All these years," Nia whispered, her voice barely audible, "we believed we were cursed, but we were never doomed. We were the victims of a lie meant to keep us in chains." Her words, fragile yet resolute, ignited a spark of hope that spread like wildfire among the assembled. Roderick's facade began to crumble as the evidence of his deceit laid bare the extent of his betrayal. You cannot do this," he stammered, his voice now laced with desperation rather than defiance. "My control, my power, is absolute." His outburst, however, faltered under the weight of the undeniable truth. The ledger, a testament to a history rewritten by those who dared to challenge destiny, nullified the carefully constructed myth that had kept him in power. Elena moved to stand beside Nia and Zane, her voice rising in a harmonious blend of authority and compassion. "The ledger proves that our destiny is not preordained by a curse, but by our choices. Redemption is not the removal of our scars, but the embrace of every part of our past to build a future of unity and strength." Her declaration was met with a surge of cheers and determined nods from the crowd. The shifters, once divided by fear and manipulation, now stood together, bound by the shared truth of their heritage. In a final act of desperation, Roderick lunged forward, his eyes wild with the realization that his grip on power was slipping away. But before he could reach his intended target, Zane intercepted him, their confrontation charged with the raw intensity of years of suppressed conflict. "Your time is over," Zane intoned, his voice a resolute mixture of grief and liberation. With a swift, decisive motion, he subdued Roderick, pinning him against the cold stone wall. The echoes of their struggle reverberated through the cathedral, a fitting climax to a saga steeped in betrayal and redemption. As Roderick lay defeated, the spectral guardian reappeared one last time, its form radiating a serene, otherworldly light. "Now the cycle is broken," the guardian proclaimed. "The illusion has been shattered, and with it the chains that bound you have fallen away. Let this moment be the rebirth of your true legacy, one defined not by a curse, but by the courage to embrace your destiny." The guardian's words resonated deeply within each soul present, instilling a sense of profound relief and renewal. In the silence that followed, as the first rays of a hopeful dawn began to pierce through the cathedral's broken roof, the assembled shifters gathered around one another in a quiet communion of forgiveness and resolve. Nia's eyes, shining with tears of both sorrow and joy, met Zane's as they shared a moment of unspoken understanding. Their journey had been long and fraught with pain, yet in this final confrontation, every scar and every betrayal had paved the way for an unexpected liberation. The legacy of deception was no longer a burden, but a catalyst for transformation. Elena stepped forward to address the gathering one final time. "Today, we reclaim not only our past, but our future. The truth, once hidden by lies, now guides us toward a new era, one of unity, compassion, and the promise of a destiny we choose to create." Her words, imbued with the collective strength of every soul present, echoed through the ancient halls, like a clarion call to hope. As Roderick was taken away, his power dissolved into the ether of forgotten ambitions. The weight of centuries-old deceit lifted from their hearts. A palpable energy surged through the gathering. In that luminous moment, the shifters felt an unyielding bond, a unity that transcended the divisions once wrought by manipulation and fear. Their collective future was theirs to shape, built on the firm foundation of truth and the shared courage to face every shadow with unwavering resolve. The cathedral, a symbol of crumbling past and the promise of renewal, bathed in the golden light of a new dawn, became a sanctuary not of sorrow, but of rebirth. Every shattered stone and every echo of former despair was transformed into a testament of resilience, a monument to the power of embracing one's history in order to forge a future of unparalleled hope. In that final, transcendent moment, as the first light of day filled the space with warmth and possibility, Zane and Nia stood side by side, a beacon of love and redemption amid the ruins of deception. Their journey had taken them from relentless pursuit to the revelation of a truth that shattered the chains of fate. The sacrifices made, the tears shed, and the battles fought had all converged into this singular, transformative revelation. The legacy of pain was now being rewritten into a legacy of unity and rebirth. With hearts unburdened and eyes fixed on a horizon bright with promise, the shifters stepped forward together into a future where every secret was honored, every betrayal transformed, and every soul was free to choose its destiny. In the silent, profound calm of the new morning, the echoes of a broken curse faded away, replaced by the harmonious chorus of a people reborn.